going out into the world, facing the dangers and returning home.
Absolutely, right on. Agreement?
Sure.
Seems pretty much it, yeah. The first time you send your kid out there on the Glen Highway, driving on their own, and then they come home, you made it, you're not dead. And neither is anyone else, especially on an icy day. I'm convinced, even though of course I was in the military during peace time, that's such a thing. But the most dangerous thing I ever do is drive on the Glen Highway on a snowy day. And more of us die in highway accidents than highway. The other thing that's interesting about this is how many know what a Jabberwock is? A Vorpal kind of sword.
If you see the new Alice in Wonderland, you sort of have a good clue on what it is.
Yes, yes, of course.
But when you first originally read the book, you're like, wait, what? You can't even picture it.
Not a slayer? Sorry. I'm mentally ill because I have no discipline. I think it squirrel. Actually, I don't really need to worry about being fired. Jabberwocks don't really exist. Although, there's an interesting argument by one person that turned out to be bogus. It was arguing that he really took a Irish poem and transformed it just a little bit so that it seemed like it was English. But the Jabberwock was Napoleon, the Borogoves were the bourgeoisie, and so on. So, they kind of make a connection between kind of the slang and certain elements and so on. But that seemed to be bogus, actually. It seems like he's using non-words and playing with us. And let's face it, if you're familiar with Lewis Carroll, he was on opiates, right? The blue caterpillar. I'm sure he had a friend who was a blue caterpillar. And it wasn't Severus Snape, but nonetheless. So drugs were involved. That was legal at the time in England. Freud had introduced it as a cure for psychosis, and it worked. It actually cured psychosis. It turned you into an opiate addict, but it certainly helped you with psychosis. So it was legal, so they all used the hookah thing with the, and I imagine a lot of them thought, who are you? It was pretty close. He also read an awful lot of stories for children from the time period. They were often called upside down stories, which were literally kind of like Alice Through the Looking Glass. It was actually a whole series of stories written by lots of different authors. So Lewis Carroll, we think of him as incredibly unique today, because we have Alice in Wonderland and so on. But actually in the day, he was just one of a lot of people that were writing weird stories like that. But he was also teaching logic, and the logical puzzles that he incorporated in, the Alice stories and so on, were there to teach logic and logic puzzles to young children. So they were just not interested in stories, but they were also presenting logical puzzles. With this particular thing, it's a consensus that one of the things he's teaching is not just the importance of meaning in words, but grammar. So notice, if I'm looking for a Vorpal sword, I know what a sword is, and I know Vorpal is an adjective because of its place in our grammatical structure, right? Notice that adjectives can be in different places in different languages as well, right? And often can be identified primarily because of agreement with the ending in the West. I don't have that problem with English, but so Vorpal sword, we know it's defining or describing the sword because it comes before it, right? So Vorpal, I know it's some kind of a sword. Borogrove, I have no clue what that is. There's lots of other words that I don't know. I don't know what a Jabberwock is. I don't know what, pardon, a Bandersnatch. No, of course, we know what a Bandersnatch looks like now, thanks to the Johnny Depp movie. Alice, is it called Alice in Wonderland? It's her return, just Alice.
It's based on the book Through the Looking Glass though, which is.
She's much older, much older
I don't know why they
now.
call it the Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, she's not really even the same, not even the right Alice. She lost her muchness, right? It seems like we can create new words all the time. I mean, Vorpal swords are not the only swords that I think are weird. There's lightsabers. We all know what a lightsaber is, and George Lucas invented those, right? We even know what they all sound like, right? Total invention, right? They didn't exist before the 1970s. Right? The laser blasters, or all kinds of. Now, certainly an odd thing is that sometimes after we invent something with our imagination, we actually come up with the thing and it actually works. You can be tased, I guess. Now, you can't be lased. But the neat thing is, even though we can invent new words, and we seem to do that all the time, what's your favorite? You have a favorite word that you made up?
Sure.
I use like argle fargle. What is that? When,
I use
anywho, well, you have to sing from your hoo-hoo.
I have children, so I say ragged flag.
I'm sorry. That's Kristen Chenoweth. You have to sing from your hoo-hoo. I used argle fargle because I had little kids, and I wanted them to grow up without using bad language. And so I thought what I should do, make sure that I'm a good example. So if I hit my thumb with a hammer instead of yelling, what you would normally yell, I would say argle fargle. They figured argle fargle, that's pretty safe, right? No one's good. Well, I hate to say this, but it didn't work. My kids came home from school, and they even, youngest daughter came up to me and said, "Daddy, what does